Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is wonderful to be inside here tonight, nice and cozy with our crowd here in the congregation, and it's wonderful to know that you guys are staying safe and warm and cozy at home. On this Shabbat, I'm very lucky to have Michael with us, and hoping that Cantor Steinberg is taking some well-deserved time off and just getting a little bit of rest. But tonight, we begin our service with a new song, one we haven't sung before. And it's in honor of our Torah portion this week, Parashat Toldot. In this section of the book of Genesis, we begin to see the next generation, the second and third generation, taking their place amongst the Jewish people. Elenu Toldot is how this portion begins. These are the generations. And whether we are Jews by birth or Jews by choice or Jews by marriage, we look back at each and every generation as having given and contributed something to our community. And tonight we begin with a piece of the puzzle, reminding ourselves that we too are a piece of that puzzle that dates back all the way back to Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and to those who were born in this week's Torah portion, to Jacob and Esau as well.
Look at yourself as a piece of the puzzle. Look at yourself as one link in the chain. Look at yourself as one page of the story. Look at yourself as one moment in time. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who? Look at yourself, leaving Mitzrayim. Look at yourself as if you crossed the sea. Look at yourself as Deborah or Aaron. Look at yourself and the things that you can be. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who? I am the link, I hold the key. I am the page, this is my history. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who?
So let's take a moment before the Lecha Dodi on page 138 to take a deep breath, think back on this last week, try to look back and ask yourself, what were the blessings that came my way? What were those moments that were sacred and holy that I want to take with me into Shabbat? What are those moments that make my life better and richer and worth living? Because when we welcome in the Sabbath Queen, what we are welcoming it in is really Shabbat, a little taste of paradise, not something that is different from this world, but rather the best parts that this world has to offer. And so we now prepare to welcome in the Sabbath Bride on page 138. Please join us.
לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור ודיבור אחד, השמיענו אל גם יוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם אל תפארת בליתי. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני היה לקניק. לה 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 דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך כמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue with Shalom Aleichem on page 142, and the blessings for the Shabbat candles will be found on page 120. But first, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hashari, Malachi Elyon, Mimele, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimele, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimele, Malachi Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimele, Malachi Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise for the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amvorah, Baruch Adonai Amvorah Leolam Vaed.
We continue on page 148.
Lai 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravi aravi V'chokhma poteach shari Uvituna meshaneh itim Umachalif et hazmanim Umsader et hakochavim Mishmerotehem Barakia kirsono Lai 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 Borei yom velayla Kolel or mipnei choshech וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום מוביל לילה מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו לי 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 El Chai v'Kayam Tamijim lo chalein leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Amari Aravi Lai 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 Amari Aravi.
Page 150.
Ahava olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah tu mitzvot Chukim umishpati Otanu limadeta Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu uvkumeinu נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמע בדברי תורתך, ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהי עמו ישראל. אוהי עמו ישראל. Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
We continue together with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, V'chol levavcha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavcha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
We continue together on page 159. Please join me. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilo osef ele, Nora tehilo osef ele. Malechutecha ra'ov anecha, bokeh hayam litnei Moshe. Ze Elianu ve'ameru Adonai imlo leolam ba'el. Dai 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 Ve'nemar Kifada Adonai et Yaakov Ugelo miyezach mimenu Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Ga'al Yisrael.
On page 160, we have the Hashkivenu, one of the prayers we say each night. It's a prayer we're supposed to say before we go to sleep, asking for God's protection. But there's one little sentence in the Hashkivenu that stands out to me as being distinctly different than the rest of the prayer. If you look at the page about 2/3 of the way down the prayer, you see the sentence, "Distance us from wrongdoing." The rest of the prayer asks God to do something for us, to defend us, to protect us, to keep us safe. But distancing us from wrongdoing means helping us to distance our own actions from those that might be seen as wrong or inappropriate. Meaning we're not just asking God to protect us, but also to inspire us to do what is right and what is good. Imagine if each night we went to sleep asking ourselves, how can we do better tomorrow? How can we distance ourselves from wrongdoing? How can we look at the world in such a way that we can help it and make it better? Imagine if all night we spent dreaming about the things that we can do. Because too often during the day we focus on what we cannot do, and we forget that every day there are opportunities to offer an act of kindness, to give water or food to those who don't have it, to offer a bit of decency towards people who we too often drive by or ignore, people who are homeless or those who are suffering on our streets. So as we offer this prayer, let's think, what are the things that we could do to distance ourselves from wrongdoing and draw ourselves closer to doing what is right and what is good? Page 160.
Oh, guide my steps, help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros Elenu Sukkah Shlomecha. Ufros Elenu Sukkah Shlomecha. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps.
Shabbat is a gift. It's a day that is set aside for us to be able to appreciate all that is in the world. It's easy sometimes to overlook the good and to focus on the bad. But our ancestors knew that every soul needs a chance to just breathe and to relax and to enjoy. And when we sing Vishamru, we remember what a blessing it has been throughout the generations to be able to come together as a community, to celebrate, to worship, to simply be in each other's presence. Please join us on page 162.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasso et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasso et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat lasso et HaShabbat לדורותם בעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם. ביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם.
We rise for the tefillah beginning on page 164.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagipor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol, atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somet noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, mi chamocha bal gevurot, umidom elach, Melech memid u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lechayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue praying privately from page 172 through 180, either standing or sitting, as is your custom.
Say shalom bimroma, say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say Shalom bimroma, say shalom alein ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimroma, say shalom alein ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimroma, say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
We now turn our thoughts and our prayers towards that of healing, either a spiritual healing or a physical healing. We pray as well for those who care for those who are ill, both those who take care of their loved ones and those who take care of us as professionals. To be a healer in the Jewish tradition is to do God's work. When we bring comfort, when we bring health, when we bring a sense of wholeness to someone's body or to their mind, this is to be in partnership with God. And so as we turn to page 371, Rabbi replied, "Bring them both into your home." Well, the man thought this was a bit strange, but he figured that he should follow the rabbi's advice, and so he did. And it was worse than it was before. The kids fought and they kvetched, the wife complained, the chicken clucked, and the goose pooped everywhere. This was ridiculous. The man went right to the rabbi's office and he said, "Rabbi, it's worse than before. What can I do now?" And the rabbi asked if the man had a goat or perhaps a cow. And the man said, "Of course I have a goat and I have a cow." The rabbi then said, "That's wonderful. Take them both into your home." Oy, thought a man, this is so silly. But he knew that he had to follow the rabbi's advice. So he went home and he brought the goat and he brought the cow into his house to join the chicken and the goose and his wife and the 4 children and his mother. And no one could sleep that night. No one could find any space, and there was not a moment of quiet, even to shut one's eyes for a moment. This was ridiculous. The house was now so uncomfortable and miserable that the man could not think of anything else to do but go straight to the rabbi. Do we have both? They'll get the punchline of the story. That's okay. And so he couldn't think of what else to do other than to go to the rabbi's office and say to the rabbi, "Rabbi, I cannot live with this even for one more minute, let alone another day. What can I do? And please, Rabbi, do not tell me to bring in another animal into my house." And the rabbi told the man, "Take the chicken, take the goose, take the goat, and take the cow back out into the yard." The man ran home and did what the rabbi told him to do. He walked back into his small home where his wife and his mother and his 4 children were waiting for him. And his home had never seemed so big, so quiet, so comfortable, or so peaceful. What a miracle the rabbi had made happen. It was as if the house had expanded and his family had gotten quieter. He never complained again about the size of his house, the noise of his family, or the lack of peace in his life. I love this story because the story reminds us that we can't necessarily control the camera's right there, I'm so sorry. That was a little scary. The story reminds us that we cannot control the facts of our life, but we can control how we respond to those facts and those realities. Because that's all the rabbi did for this man. He didn't create a miracle. He gave the man perspective. He helped him to appreciate what he had rather than to see the negative side of it, to help him understand life can get worse. And sometimes it does get worse before it gets better. But we still have to find a way to manage, to survive, and to get through those moments. And this is one of the blessings that Judaism gives us. It doesn't tell us that if you're religious enough, life will be fabulous. It doesn't tell you that you're going to get rich if you do all the prayers the right way, or if you keep kosher, if you keep Shabbat. But what it does offer is perspective. It helps us see the world in such a way that it's not only bearable, but it's a blessing. So if you look at your handouts, or if you're online, I think Ryan dropped in the attachment, and it's also, the handout is also on the website. What I want to challenge people this month. November is Thanksgiving. It's the time of year that we are supposed to focus on gratitude. And for most of us, Thanksgiving doesn't bring about gratitude so much as grumpiness. What am I going to cook? Am I going to cook too much? Am I not going to cook too much? A turkey is a pain. Do I have to be with my side of the family or my husband's side of the family? Or is there going to be enough room? Or is there going to be enough that? Or in the last 2 years with COVID, we complain that we haven't been with our families. So all the complaining that we used to do about having to travel to get to somebody else's house, now we're complaining that we don't necessarily have the opportunity to do that. And it creates more stress a lot of times than blessing. And I think part of it is because with holidays, we cram too much expectations into a day. And what Judaism says is there shouldn't be a day where we look at gratitude, a day that we spend with our families, but rather throughout the year, we should be looking for the blessings. Every day, we should find something to say thank you about. Every day, we should find a way to connect with our families in a way that is meaningful and healthy. And so, one of the ways we do this in Judaism is by saying blessings. Because a blessing is another way of saying thank you. When we say a prayer before we eat, when we say the motzi, it means taking the time to say, oh, how lucky we are that we have food on our plate. When we say a prayer, when we come together, or we say a shehachianu, we're saying, oh, how wonderful it is that this moment is even happening. There's so many times, so many opportunities to say thank you during the day, but we're usually too busy to stop and to do it. And so I came across this beautiful idea, this thing on your handout that says 30 Days of Gratitude. It's actually an inspiration or writing prompts, actually, for a website that encourages people to journal. But I looked at this and I thought this is such a wonderful Jewish exercise because it's not easy to say blessings. It's not easy when you're not in the habit of doing it to learn how to do it, because praying and saying prayers is a lot like exercise. It sounds good. A lot of us are aspirational about it, and you may do it for one day, and then the next day it kind of falls off. And sometimes it's because we bite off more than we could chew, that it's hard to jump into a practice all at once, but rather it's something that you have to build up towards. And so with this 30 Days of Gratitude, it inspires us, if you looked at this each morning and just said, you know what, there's one thing today that I need to find to be grateful for. And if you're not feeling creative, it gives you 30 ideas. Whether it's a smell that you're grateful for today, maybe it's the smell of fresh baked bread or caramelized onions. My favorite smells tend to be food rather than anything else. Or maybe it's a piece of art that you have in your house, maybe something that you made or somebody else made for you that you tend to walk by all the time instead of stopping and paying attention. And so this November, instead of just having a day for Thanksgiving, challenge yourself to try to find one thing each day to say thank you for. Now, attached to this, you'll see several pages to give you an inspiration. Judaism reminds us that there is nothing that we shouldn't say a blessing for. There's nothing in the world or in our lives that isn't worth saying thank you for. And if you look at this, it's extraordinary. A prayer for thunder, for when we see natural beauty, or for lightning. Think about what a wonderful way to transform that moment, of how many people as children are terrified of thunder or lightning. And this says, no. This is something that's worth saying a prayer over. This is beautiful. This is a miracle. Of course, there's prayers for everything in the natural world, but there's also prayers for things that we do. Upon doing or benefiting from an action that improves the world around us, we have a prayer or a blessing upon seeing a head of state or a secular scholar or a Torah scholar. Think about how we would change our attitude to learning. That if we actually said a prayer when we saw somebody who was a scholar in their field, or even maybe our different opinion towards government, if we looked at the idea that there's a prayer to be said, and this is not the prayer that the rabbi says in Fiddler on the Roof for the Tsar. It's not may God keep the Tsar far, far away from here, which in itself is a good blessing. No, but this one on seeing a head of state, praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, you give of your glory to flesh and blood. It's a beautiful thought, this idea that we should praise things that we take for granted. How would it change your life on a daily basis if instead of looking, if you were on a treasure hunt for blessings each and every day, how would it change the way you looked at the day when you left the house? This isn't theoretical. I'm actually asking. Have you ever thought of it? The rabbis teach us we're supposed to say 100 blessings every day. That's hard. It's really hard to find the time to stop 100 times. But we have the time to do it at least once. And so I hope that people take this as an opportunity to spend this month to put us in a proper mindset. Because if you look at those blessings, they're not prayers for thank you for this thing that I was given. It's not about material things. It's about things that we can all have, that we can all derive pleasure from. And Thanksgiving runs smack into the winter holidays, which are sadly overcome by consumerism. And so before we go into that place, let's remember to be grateful. Because when we're grateful for what we have, we also tend to be more willing and more likely to share it with others. And so immediately following Thanksgiving this year, we have Hanukkah, with the first night of Hanukkah coming on the Sunday night following Thanksgiving. And that Tuesday night, we will be celebrating again a B'nai Israel tradition called Hanukkah Mitzvah, where we come together on the Tuesday night of Hanukkah to put together care packages for people who are unhoused or food insecure. And so our plan is to put together 500 bags of personal items and toiletries and 500 bags of food that we can give to those who are in need. So we hope people will either join us in person by assembling those bags, or there's also information if you would like to bring items to contribute to those bags. There's information on our website under Hanukkah and what we're doing and the different ways that we'll be able to get together. Because it's important for us to really find a way to sanctify our lives. Because life can be hard. And as the man in the story knows, it could be overwhelming and loud, and it could invade our space where all you want to do is take a breath. But our tradition gives us the gift of perspective. And so I hope that each and every one of you will be blessed with that view of the world in the coming days. Shabbat Shalom. It is my pleasure to invite up the president of our congregation, Josh Mastronardi, for some Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you to Rabbi and Michael for a great service. All of the goings-on are in the Hadashot and on the website. I just want to call your attention to a few highlights. Tonight, there'll be an oneg in the courtyard following services. Tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., there's a Torah study on Zoom, and Mini Minyan is here in person with Miss Emma. On Sunday, there's a shmooze school during religious school, a parenting seminar with Missy Garvin. All parents are welcome to join. Hope you come for that. Anyone who would like to come to services in person, there are plenty of spots available. You can sign up for any and all services every Friday night. Just go on the website, and it's easy to do. The Women of B'nai Israel on next Wednesday are hosting a virtual tour of the Contemporary Jewish Museum's Leonard Cohen exhibit. You can register. The links are in the Hadashot. And as Rabbi said, Hanukkah is coming. It's coming soon. Sooner than any of us are ready for, right? The first night of Hanukkah, Sunday, November 28th, is going to be in-person candle lighting with all the fun and songs that go along with that. The Hanukkah Mitzvah is on Tuesday, the 30th, and the confirmation class is selling a number of items as a fundraiser, including custom-designed olive oil bottles. Some great stuff. Check that out. I think that link is now live. Go looking for pre-orders coming in as soon as we can, because we need to make those orders. And with that, I'd like to ask any of the board members and committee chairs who are here to stand and introduce yourselves.
You have to be really, Josh, you may want to repeat.
I'll repeat. Bend in Blue is here. Who's our CFO? And Judy Emick Leatherwood, who does lots of things, including setting up Torah readers and wrangling the choir. Like I said, check out the Hadashot and the website, and hope to see you soon. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And for those of you at home, to tempt you even more to join us, immediately following services every Shabbat, we have a fabulous oneg in the courtyard, and each week Dean surprises us with a visual and edible feast. And so for those of you who are with us, please join us immediately following services through the back doors into the courtyard. And for those of you who are at home and are wondering what Dean put out for us tonight, you have to come next week and see for yourself, because I'm not going to spoil it. But in the meantime, we continue with our service, beginning with our closing prayers with the Elenu, which can be found on the bottom half of page 586. I think 615 was the old prayer book. The bottom half of page... The bottom half of page 586. Please rise.
Yosed Aretz, Umoshav Yakaro, Bashamayim Ima'al, Ushkinat Uzo, Begov He Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emet Malkeinu Efesulato, Kakatu Betorato, Vayadata Hayom, Hashevota Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, Bashamayim Mima'al, Ve'al Haaretz, Mitachat Ein Od, Ve'nemar, Ve'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh ad echad, Ushemo echad.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to loved ones who are no longer with us. And it is with sadness that we recall the recent passing of Irene Grossman, the beloved aunt of Fran Levy and Rick and Marnie Wasserman. Also, sadly, we recall the recent passing of our longtime member, Janet Elfenbein-Ulmer, the beloved mother of Margaret Allison, beloved grandmother of Jacob and Justin Williams. Also, with sadness, we recall the recent passing of Robert Bob Aaron, the beloved father of Jeff Aaron, beloved father-in-law of Karen Aaron, and the beloved grandfather of Michael and Michelle Aaron. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories forever be a blessing. We also recall loved ones who have passed away at this time in years past. We remember Seal Aaron, Stephen Benito Gianvenco, Esther Benoon, Anita Burke, Rosalie Borach, Jacob Broverman, Mildred Cohen, Sybil DeVore, George Eden, Sarah Gaverser, Jacob Grand, Henry Green, Ralph Grimaldi Sr., Hava Haskell, Fred Hertz, Harry Hesterman, Arthur Himmelreich, Elliot Horowitz, Evelyn Hubbs, Bertha Jacob, Mayhelt Jacobs, Edith Kagan, Marilyn Kirsch, Monty Krause, Raymond Lauer, Bernard Levin, Harriet Levin, Morris Levin, Arthur Levy, Max Lichten, Goldie McIntyre, Bertha Miller Wasteblum, Nancy Molander Price, William Narote, Annie Neller, Edward Neustadt, Pearl Pittman, Kurt Pollock, Margaret Robinson, Sarah Samaville, Sarah Samovitz, Meyer Samuel, Jacob Schwartz, Maurice Schwartz, Paul Silber, Theodore Steinberg, Adeline Tanaka, Russell Tincher, Jack Uger, Sidney Wasserman, and Paul Zeman. If there are names that anyone would like to add to the Kaddish list tonight, if you're watching from home, please feel free to write the names of your loved ones in the chat. And for those of you who are with us in person, please feel free to call the name of your loved ones, call aloud the name of your loved one as my gaze meets yours. For those who are saying Kaddish for a loved one tonight, I'd like to invite you to please stand and allow us to offer these words of comfort. Hamakom yenechem etchem betok sha'ar of Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We rise to offer comfort to those who grieve as we continue together on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei tekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim Elenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Elenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. There's a beautiful thing about concluding every service as the final prayer being the Kaddish. And it's that it reminds us that we are all connected. That just because someone has passed away, it doesn't mean that they're not a part of our lives. And when we describe ourselves as a chain of tradition in Judaism, it reminds us that we are anchored by those links in the chain that came before us. Just like, God willing, we will also be an anchor for those who come after us. So we conclude tonight's service as we began it, reminding ourselves that we are each a piece of the puzzle. And just as anyone who's ever done any putting together any puzzles know, every piece matters, because when one is missing, it ruins the whole picture.
Look at yourself as a piece of the puzzle. Look at yourself as one link in the chain. Look at yourself as one page of the story. Look at yourself as one moment in time. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who? Look at yourself, leaving Mitzrayim. Look at yourself as if you crossed the sea. Look at yourself like Deborah or Aaron. Look at yourself and the things that you can be. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who? I am the link, I hold the key, I am the page, this is my history. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. Bechol dor vador, in every generation. Bechol dor vador, all people and every nation. If not now, then when? And if not me, then who?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.